How does hazard reduction burning promote healthy species and ecosystem diversity? Well, for some species, hazard reduction burning can rejuvenate the population by promoting a new flush of growth. If, for example, a species has a natural lifespan of 10 years, that is, it dies after 10 years of growth, then a hazard reduction fire might be useful to remove the dead and dying plant material and promote germination of seed of this species to develop a new population. Many acacias would fall into this category. That is not, however, the case for all species, which is why it's important to understand growth and reproduction patterns of different components of the vegetation to be able to provide the best management plan possible. How does hazard reduction burning impact on the elements of Australian ecosystems such as vegetation and leaf litter? Well, the aim of a hazard reduction burn is to remove the fuels that are likely to propagate fire along the ground and up into the canopy. This includes the leaf litter on the ground and understory vegetation. The latter, the understory vegetation, includes shrubs, grasses, ferns, and even small trees. Many of these plant species have mechanisms that allow them to recover after fire events, but knowledge of how they can recover is important for understanding the capacity of the system to withstand repeated burning. The leaf litter itself is a crucial part of the ecosystem as it protects soil surfaces from erosion and excessive heat. It helps retain moisture in the soil. It provides place for seeds and invertebrates to live and be protected, and it is an important part of carbon and nutrient cycling. The function of leaf litter as part of the forest ecosystem needs to be really well understood just as much as the plants and animals themselves. Has climate change had any measurable effect on leaf litter fall and decomposition? Yes, absolutely. The first point is that with climate change, as drying conditions increase, plants, particularly eucalypts, have the capacity to shed leaves and reduce their water loss. There are a number of studies that have been done that have documented annual leaf loss in eucalypt forests during summer, with hotter conditions promoting more litter fall. The second point is that with drying and warming climates associated with climate change, the rate of decomposition will change. The microbes responsible for decomposition can only function under certain moisture and temperature conditions, and when these conditions are not met, they cannot live properly. Microbes are just like humans. On really hot days, we both cannot go about our business as we normally would do. As rates of decomposition slow, the potential for fuel to remain in the system and not be broken down by decomposition potentially increases. However, it must be remembered that as climates warm and become drier, the potential for plant growth and litter production will also be affected. So climate change not only affects the litter layer, but affects plant growth as well, that contributes to the litter layer. Do we need to consider the impacts of ecosystems being repeatedly burnt by severe fire at periods less than the calculated ecosystem recovery period? Yes, we do, absolutely. If fire frequency in an area, whether it's bushfire or prescribed fire, does not match the time required for forests to recover, that is, for some species to return to their reproductive capacity and for others to regain their ability to sprout from stored energy and protected buds, we should expect that some species will disappear from an ecosystem. The conditions between fires also needs to be considered as well. For example, if there's an ongoing drought, then the capacity of water-stressed vegetation to recover after fire will be compromised. Will a hotter and drier climate reduce dead fine fuels, and if so, will this aid fire suppression? As touched on in the previous question, hotter, drier climates are likely to affect rates of decomposition to potentially slow down the breakdown of fine fuels. Hotter, drier climates might also reduce plant growth so that less fine fuel, such as leaves, twigs, fallen bark, is produced. We know a lot about how changes in temperature and moisture availability affect decomposition and plant growth in the laboratory or the glasshouse, but we do not know nearly enough about how this can be translated to what it actually means for forest ecosystems in Australia.